Basically, the Great Train Robbery is whereby a train is travelling from Scotland down to London with a considerable amount of money.
They said to me on the phone, there's been a burglary at Cheddington railway station. And I said, what's gone? And they said, a train.
The train was held up at a place called Bodago Bridge, which was in Buckinghamshire.
It was a Royal Mail train. The Royal Mail had been interfered with, which is a serious offence anyway.
The signals were deactivated. The train robbers planned it well. They rang up the embankment. They did actually hit the train driver. They smashed their way into the carriages, locking off the locks. The money was all in sacks. It was then offloaded onto the train, down an embankment, into some stolen vehicles, and then it was taken away to a nearby farmhouse. The police decided that they would put up a search of all buildings within a 26-mile radius.
My sergeant down at my parents' station, Ron Blackman at Wadston, phoned me up at home at Brill and asked me did I know where Leatherslade Farm was. We went down to Leatherslade Farm. What struck us initially, and perhaps most forcibly, was the house. Every window was covered over, and as I climbed in, the light now coming in immediately gave me signs of occupation. That kitchen was absolutely chock-a-block with foodstuffs and provision. It was everywhere. This confirmed that quite obviously a lot of people had made arrangements for a prolonged stay down here at Leatherslade Farm. I spotted in an alcove off the kitchen area a trapdoor in the floor. The cellar was absolutely chock-a-block with bulging sacks of something or other, and as I leaned out and pulled one of those sacks over onto the steps in front of me, it was in fact a canvas mail bag. And as the top flopped open, I could see parcel wrappers, banknote wrappers, consignment notes, all bearing the names of the famous high street banks.
Having left evidence, somebody was paid some money to get rid of all this evidence. So I think he took the money, but he didn't get rid of the evidence. So consequently, when the police arrived, there was all these items in the kitchens and things like that, which bore their fingerprints. And that's really how most of them were found.
It was connecting the farm with the scene, because we had no evidence at the scene, but all the evidence at the farm.
When we got there, I saw the carriage stuck out in the wilds there with people looking out the window, wondering where the hell they were. So we got the cameras out and started photographing.
There was a whole team of forensic scientists, the scenes of crime officers, and there were more fingerprint officers gathered together there that morning than I had ever seen before in my life.
When the train robbers had robbed the train, they went to the farmhouse, and obviously to bide their time away, they needed something to do. So what they did was they played Monopoly. We have bottles and other such items which, when dusted, revealed their fingerprints, and they still now have the original marks on them, which had all been marked up for police photography.
So anyway, I took the photographs with the glove on the signal and everything around there, the batteries, all that sort of thing. And then, of course, getting on to fingerprinting. We had to fingerprint the train, the carriage. It was basic stuff in those days. We were photographing the fingerprints. Today they don't, well, only in special cases. I used to use a half-plate camera with an extension bellows and photograph the fingerprints actual size. I had to show the main road from Aston Clyn to Oakley, and then the lane leading up. And all the rooms had to be photographed, and all the vehicles. There was a Bedford lorry, 2 Land Rovers, and I had to go up to Bow to photograph the lorry because that had a tarpaulin. And one of the witnesses had seen it en route from the railway to the farm. I spent all morning down in the cellar photographing the sacks. Then when with the photographer from Scotland Yard, Ken Creer, I assisted him in the bath. We were in the bath nearly all morning, photographing fingerprints on the inside of the handles.
Well, my prime role, of course, was exhibits officer, which is quite an important role because you've got to not only record everything correctly, you've got to preserve it and be able to produce it at the right time. So, I mean, over the ensuing months, I collected items just short of 2,000 items. They collected and recorded and cross-referenced 2,350 statements, which resulted in 20,000 index cards, because of course no computers then.
And also I looked on the platform of the lorry and there was 4 drill holes on it. I thought, well, that's strange, I wonder what they are. So anyway, we got up on there and what it was, they'd made a secret partition, lifted that, and inside there they could take anything off and nobody'd know. So that was one of their brainwaves, I suppose. I was up there for the week, you know, photographing everything and helping with the fingerprints. I think I finished up fingerprinting the walls.
Well, of course, it's a story that has never gone away. Within days, it was christened as being the crime of the century, and in many ways, that claim still holds good today.
People have this curiosity, you know, when there's a big crime, it doesn't matter what it is, people will always have this curiosity in following it.
The number of people that show interest in it is unbelievable, really. I can't get over it. After all, 50 years ago, I mean, what crimes do you think about that anybody's particularly interested in from 50 years ago? Not many.
And the press, of course, they were just all over. The press got a tremendous interest in it, and as I say, it's never waned, really.
I suppose this particular crime stands out because I don't think anybody had tried anything on this magnitude, and it was quite a daring raid. As a result of this, prison sentences were handed out, which quite honestly were unknown, and even by today's standards, you didn't get sentenced so much, you know, for crimes that are committed today.
I think that brought on the regional crime squads, and even more, I think it influenced possibly the amalgamation of forces in the late 60s. So I think it had a really big influence.
It's one of the few jobs that has gone all around the world. Some of them went over to France, others went to Canada. There's not hardly a country around the world that doesn't know about the Great Train Robbery.
It really underlined the fact that police had got to be less parochial. They had got to be able to move freely and easily across borders, and that gave rise to the regional crime squads. The Great Train Robbery undoubtedly hastened that procedure.